Saturday mornings always felt different to Daniel. Unlike weekdays, filled with alarms, meetings, and endless emails, weekends allowed him to slow down and enjoy the simple pleasures of life. That particular Saturday was especially beautiful. The sky was bright, the weather was pleasant, and the city seemed unusually peaceful. After spending several busy weeks at work, Daniel had promised himself that he would take a break and do something relaxing. Instead of staying at home, he decided to visit his favorite coffee shop, a cozy little place located near Riverside Park where he often went whenever he needed quiet time. The cafe was already filled with the familiar smell of roasted coffee beans and soft jazz music playing in the background. Sunlight poured through the large windows, creating a warm atmosphere that instantly made Daniel feel comfortable. He ordered his usual cappuccino and found a table near the window. His plan was simple. He wanted to enjoy his coffee, read a few pages from his favorite book, and spend the rest of the morning doing absolutely nothing. However, life often has different plans. Just as he was about to open his book, he heard someone call his name. Daniel? Looking up, he saw Emma standing near the entrance, holding a cup of iced coffee. She seemed equally surprised. "Emma, what are you doing here?" she laughed. "I should be asking you that." Daniel smiled. "Escaping from work." "Same here." Since there were no empty tables left, Emma joined him. What was supposed to be a quick greeting gradually turned into a long conversation. They talked about the stressful month they had just survived, funny incidents at the office, and how everyone seemed to be overwhelmed with responsibilities lately. Surprisingly, neither of them mentioned deadlines or clients for very long. Instead, they found themselves discussing things they rarely talked about during work. After nearly an hour, Sophie arrived unexpectedly. She had been searching for an apartment nearby and decided to stop for coffee before heading home. When she saw Daniel and Emma sitting together, she immediately smiled and joined them. "This is becoming a reunion," she joked. Not long after that, Jake appeared as well. Apparently, he had arranged to meet a photography client nearby, but the client had canceled at the last minute. Seeing his friends together, he happily ordered coffee and joined the group. Within minutes, their quiet morning transformed into one of those rare moments when life seemed perfectly balanced. There were no schedules to follow and no responsibilities demanding their attention. It was simply four friends sharing coffee and enjoying each other's company. The conversations shifted naturally from one topic to another. Jake talked passionately about his dream of opening his own photography studio someday. He described the kind of place he imagined, complete with natural lighting, comfortable spaces, and walls covered with photographs from his travels. Although he had mentioned the idea before, this time there was something different in his voice. For the first time, he sounded serious. "I know it sounds crazy," Jake admitted, "but I don't want to spend my whole life working for other people." Daniel smiled. "That's not crazy." Emma nodded in agreement. "Not at all." Sophie laughed. "If Jake becomes famous, don't forget us." Jake grinned. "Never." Eventually, the conversation turned toward Emma. "So, what's your dream?" Sophie asked. Emma stirred her coffee slowly before answering. "I've always wanted to own a small coffee shop." Jake almost spilled his drink. "Seriously?" Emma smiled. "Why are you so surprised?" "Because we're sitting in one right now." Everyone laughed. Emma looked around the room and smiled. I love places like this. People come here when they're happy, sad, stressed, or simply looking for peace. I think there's something special about coffee shops. They bring people together. Daniel nodded thoughtfully. What would you call it? Emma smiled. Emma's Corner. Jake laughed. Simple. Simple is enough. Then everyone looked toward Sophie. Your turn, Daniel said. Sophie smiled. Honestly, I want to travel. Travel? Jake asked. Everywhere. She looked outside the window. There are so many places I haven't seen yet. Japan, Italy, Switzerland, Iceland. I want to experience different cultures and collect memories instead of just collecting things. Daniel smiled. That sounds wonderful. What about you? Sophie asked. You've been listening to everyone else's dreams. What's yours? Daniel looked down at his cup for a moment. The truth was that he had thought about this question many times. I want freedom, he finally answered. The others looked surprised. Freedom? Emma asked. Daniel nodded. I don't mean quitting work tomorrow or becoming rich overnight. I just want a life where I can spend time with family, enjoy moments like this, and work on something meaningful without constantly feeling rushed. Nobody spoke for a few seconds. Then Jake smiled. That's actually a beautiful dream, Sophie nodded. And probably the hardest one. They all laughed. As the afternoon continued, they shared stories about childhood memories, embarrassing moments, old friendships, and plans for the future. Hours passed without anyone noticing. More coffee arrived at the table, and the conversations became deeper. They spoke about fears, regrets, and the things they wished they had done differently. At one point, Jake leaned back in his chair and said something that made everyone quiet. Isn't it strange? When we were younger, we thought life would somehow become easier once we became adults. Emma laughed softly. I thought I'd have everything figured out by now. So did I, Sophie admitted. Daniel smiled. I don't think anyone really figures everything out. Probably not, Jake agreed. But maybe that's okay. Outside, the afternoon slowly turned into evening. The cafe became quieter as customers came and went. The golden sunlight reflected through the windows, giving the entire place a peaceful atmosphere. Looking around at his friends, Daniel felt something he hadn't experienced in a long time. Contentment. Not excitement, not success, not achievement, just contentment. Life wasn't perfect. Everyone sitting at the table had worries and responsibilities waiting for them. There were bills to pay, careers to build, and uncertainties about the future. Yet in that moment, none of those things seemed overwhelming. Sometimes happiness didn't come from achieving great success or accomplishing impossible goals. Sometimes it arrived quietly in the form of warm coffee, honest conversations, and dreams shared between friends. As evening approached, they finally decided to leave. Standing outside the cafe, they promised to meet again soon, though they all laughed because they knew how difficult schedules could be. Still, Daniel wasn't worried. Friendships didn't depend on daily meetings. Dreams didn't require immediate answers. And happiness didn't always come from extraordinary moments. Sometimes, all it took was a cup of coffee, meaningful conversations, and a few dreams shared among friends to remind people that life, despite all its chaos, could still be wonderfully beautiful